Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Rick's Picks. Obviously, today we got a really big one for you guys today. So this is Void and Ubik from the hit manga series Berserk by Figma. So as you can tell, this thing is huge. I'm really excited to be, doing a review on this. Void has always been my favorite member of the God Hand, just because of his overall Hellraiser style look to him. So I'm really excited to get this guy open and see what he's about. So, with that being said, first off, I want to thank everybody who has subscribed. You're very much appreciated. And if you're somebody who hasn't subscribed and you watch this video and like it, please hit that subscribe button and also check out my Berserk playlist. So, without any further ado, let's get to the review. All right, so here he is in packaging. I do like the packaging, so you get this really nice picture of Void and Ubik here, Freeing Plus. You get both of their numbers here, as well as the Figma logos. Berserk. All right. Spinning around this way. All right, we're going to have to adjust the camera just a hair. And you get this nice picture of Void, both of their numbers. Spinning around here. You get some cool pictures of Void, Ubik, some nice poses of his head, the mark of sacrifice, and then you get some Japanese legal underneath. Spin them around this side. Now you got a picture of both figures and their numbers. Right. Same with the top. Got both figures and their numbers. And underneath, you get this really nice picture of Void with the mark of sacrifice. So, with that being said, let's open him up and see what he's about. All right, so here he is out of packaging. Now, this is him in his closed cape form. All right. When we get into accessories, we're going to get all about how his cape's going to be open and all that other fun stuff. But this is him with his cape closed. Now, he's very impressive, just like this alone. So, first off, we're going to start with the rotation. So, you have this side here. You have the back. All right. And there's a lot of really cool detail in here. I love, like, the gloss. There's a little bit of airbrushing into this. So, that looks really nice. I'm back here. And then back to the front. Now, him in this form, the only real cool thing about him is his head sculpt. The head sculpt looks really nice. I love this head sculpt. It's also the only point of articulation. So the head does move back and forth and up and down. Okay. Everything else is all going to be concerned about when the cape is open and then we get into all his accessories and what have you. So the detail into this is really nice. I love, turn it to the side, like the wash and all this extra detailing in there. Let's turn it to the other side. Oops, like that. So the detail to this head is really nice. I love the detail to it. Now, we're also going to look at Ubik, or Ubik, I believe he is pronounced. So we're going to move you to a side. And we're going to bring him in. Now, as you notice, he does come with a stand. I wish Conrad would have came with a stand who came with Slan, because he didn't. But, it's nice that at least with this one, he does come with a stand. So that's pretty cool. So we're going to give him the rotation as well. So you have this side here. Back here. You have this side. And now back around here. Now his head does move. So you get some head movement in here. All right. The stand has 3 joints to it. So you have one at the base, one midway, and one closer to the figure. All right. And he has two accessories, which are two arms. So he has this arm here. Okay. And he also has this arm here. And they look like they just come on and off very easily. So this should just pop out. Let's see how much of a liar he makes me. Yeah. Okay, so there's one arm. And then there's two arms. Alright. So we get his arm here. Now if you look at the side here, you can see that there's a little odd shaped hole for him. So you have to match it up. So as you can see, it's a T shape. Alright, so you just line up the T. You got that arm there. And line up this T and that arm. So you can have them like that, or his more common form with the hands, folded. So that's a quick look at both figures. Next up, we're going to be really looking into the accessories for this figure. Now we're going to get into the accessories. So first off, there's directions for this. Let's move him back here. So there's a lot of accessories and a lot of things that really got to be done with this figure to get these accessories to work. All right. So let's go through the rundown. So first, you have this here. It's a pole that comes with a clamp. All right. Yeah, that goes onto the, oops. Is that the right side? No, this side. All right. So that goes in there like that. And these poles will be for his arms. The same with this one, just like the other one. And they have multiple points of articulation. So there's 4 points of articulation on each. All right, we're going to move him to the side here. And they're going to connect into these holes around the edge. And then there's going to be a piece that sits here. Now, as you notice, the stand is a whole bunch of heads in the red. Anybody who's aware of the eclipse knows all about what that's about. So I'm not going to get too heavily into spoilers for those who haven't seen that scene yet, but definitely check it out. All right. Next up, you have the mark of sacrifice. So this is what he holds up to put the, mark of sacrifice onto everybody. All right. Next up, he has a spinal column. All right. And that fits right into here. As you can see, there's an odd shape here. That's so you can line it up just right. Just like that. So that just goes right into the stand. And that could work even for this one. So if you want them to just stay in there a little bit stronger, you can. And that'll keep them from moving around. All right. He has two arms. So you have this arm here. All right. And you have this arm here. Now they both, you look here, have a hole for the brand of sacrifice. So you could put it in either hand, depending. All right, he comes with a bunch of hands. So he has this hand here. All right. Another hand like that. All right. He has two pointing hands. So you have that one here. Oh. All right. And he has the other pointing hand. All right. And he also has two semi-closed hands. All right. One. And two. And now he has a whole bunch of different parts of his cape. So he has this here, or wings. I don't know how you want to call them. All right, that's an outer shell. There's still some tissue left in there. I, apologize about that. He has this other big one here. All right. More tissue. All right, then he has three, I think it's four smaller pieces. So he has this piece here. All right. He has this piece here. Okay. Running out of table space. And we have this piece here. And then the final thing is the last piece of the cape. Or wings. Yeah, I guess they're considered more wing cape. All right. So now that we have gone through everything, let's try to put this guy together now. Okay. So first off, this piece comes out of here. So these come up. Or it pulls out first. All right. Oh, there it goes. All right. So that pulls out like that. That comes out. Oops. And that comes out. All right. So put these back into here. That comes up like this. And this one comes up as well. All right. And that can come up and move as need be. Matter of fact, let's take a moment here to really get a good look at the head, because now that you got everything out of the way, once again, you can see the head very well. All right. So that comes off of there like that. And all three of these parts come off. 1, 2, and 3. Now, the nice thing about these Figma figures, they do come with these nice handy little baggies. All right. So any loose parts that you're not using, throw them in the baggie. And that's nice because that means you can't lose them. We'll put good old Ubik's arms in here as well. I'm not throwing them around. All right. So anything loose, you can put right in there. All right. So now he sits on top of the spine. There's a spot here. Goes together like that. So now he's on the spinal column. And just that alone just looks vicious. You know, that just looks kind of cool the way that looks. All right, so next part. They want the arms in. All right. So these little clear pieces come out. And the arms go in here. So you get that even the right way? No. This goes on this one. There we go. That's that arm. All right. Eventually this one. Oops. All right, there we go. Okay. So now we got his arms. You know, as you keep putting parts on this thing, man, he just looks eviler and wickeder and crazier with each extra part added. All right, so next would be, that's a good question. This one, is it? No. It's, looks like it's this one that goes next. Or, no. Okay, these go on top. All right, so it's this one next. Yes, right? Yes. So R goes on this side. They don't tell you numbers. And that hooks in under here. There's a little hole right here that this just hooks into. Like that. All right, and then you got S here. And that hooks in right here. All right, did they go to the front or to the back? Uh-oh, that popped out. They just look like they just go onto the sides. All right. So they actually go, looks like they go over the arms. Trying to figure this out. So all right. They don't move much. They kind of just stay still. So this one goes into that hole like that. Okay. And this one goes into this hole right here. It's not falling off. All right, this one's being kind of a bugger. Because, you know, there we go. Okay, so now we have those two. This I might have to glue back on. It looks like the peg came loose. But it will work for now. So now you have those. All right. Into those little holes. Now you have this one here. That has this part here like this. That moves. This is meant to be the front. All right, so this goes up here like this. All right, man, I'm going to tell you this right now. They didn't make this easy. All right. Nope. Yeah, I don't care about that right now. All right, so part of the problem I'm having right here is just some of this stuff don't want to fit in their holes properly. Probably because it's new and what have you. So it's giving me a bit of a pain here. All the way up like that. Let me turn them this way. Is that in there? Now, you don't really want to force any of this stuff, but it kind of makes you feel like you have to get some of the stuff into the proper holes. All right, that's being a pain. I'll try this one more time, and that is the front one, right? Yeah, because that's the back. Give me 1 second. All right, we're back here, and I wound up just putting this whole cape assembly thing together off screen because the whole thing was a pain in the rear. Total pain in the rear to put together. The main one being this front piece. This front piece was really, really hard to get on just because of the factor that the peg kept on moving up and down. So the peg kept on doing like this every time I tried to get that in. Even with hot water. I got my bowl of hot water right here. It was just, yeah, it was hard to get all this together because joints want to move, holes are tight, everything just didn't want to work properly. So it took me a good 20 to 30 minutes to finally get everything in there because the other problem is like You get one part in, and then another part falls off, and then you get that one on, and it was just a thing. So putting this guy together is not fun. I literally felt the brand of sacrifice on the back of my neck burning. That's how pissed off I was getting at this, putting him together. But he is together. So now we're going to see how well some of this other stuff works with him. At least his cape's together. So we're going to see how his hands work and all that. Plus, in doing that, this little piece broke off. This sits up here in the front. I'll probably wind up gluing it on. But that broke off. And the other problem is this crown here is hard plastic. So while I'm trying to get in and maneuver things, I'm trying to avoid this, because the last thing I want to do is break this crown. If I would have broke this crown, I would have been really mad. I mean, really, really mad. So that's another thing you're going to have to be careful trying to put this guy together, is this crown piece and maneuvering your hands around him so you don't break it. Okay? So now that that's done, let's start working with these hands here. So this cape is supposed to come up like this. Here, let's spin them around this way. All right, we got our hand under here. Let's get one of these. All right. Let's pop this peg in this hole. All right, that went in there pretty easily. Thank God. And boom. All right. So there's that hand there. And you could get the piece of sacrifice here. Pop that in here. All right. So that works. Here, let's bring that into view. Like that. No issues. All right. Let's get this other arm over here. All right. Get the cape. Matter of fact, we're going to just pull this one off just so you can see better how things work. All right. So let's pop this hand off. Now, all the hands I have sitting in hot water. All right. So we're only going to swap out hands on this side just to make life a little bit easier, because if they'll swap on this side, they should swap on the other side. So that goes in there pretty easily. No issues. All right. And you do have a joint here, by the way, an elbow joint. All right. That's the opposite side. That fits in there pretty good. And that goes in there pretty good as well. We're going to put this on this side. All right, for this hand. So now the arm came off. And this is what I was talking about. See how everything just wants to, like stuff just wants to fall apart on this guy. You know, this is one of the under cape pieces. That just came off. I mean, it all goes back together, but it gets frustrating after a while. Because like I said, these joints want to move. While you're trying to put something on, they just want to move. You know, I almost feel halfway tempted to glue this stuff in there and be done with it. All right. There we go. All right. So, boom. That's that arm. So now you can maneuver his arm however you want. Now, if you wanted to sit like this inside this claw, he can. So the arms do move around pretty easy. Matter of fact, let's just check the hands on this side as well. Let's just pull this off. You know, for checking the hands on one side, might as well check the hands on the other side. Pull that off. All right. That pops on there. No issues. All right. You got this hand here. That goes on pretty well. No issues. And last but not least, this hand. So, overall, most of his stuff works fine with him. Okay? Most of his stuff works fine. It's his whole cape piece that's kind of a pain, because everything wants to be popping out of joints. See these joints? And they just want to move as you're trying to put things on them. So, but for the most part, once they're on there, they're pretty much okay. It's just a real bugger trying to put all this on him. So my final thought on these figures is, first off, Ubik is cool. I like everything about him. His arms swap out very easily, no issues. His head moves around as it should, and his stand works fine with him. Void, all right, there's some pros and cons to this figure. So first we're going to go through the pros. First off, he's an excellent looking figure. I love the overall look to him. I love the stand. I love everything about the look in both forms. I have him in his closed cape form here just because it makes my life a lot easier. So he's a very good looking figure. Now all his joints move fine. So his head joint moves fine. His arm joints move fine. All his joints and everything move fine. Okay. So there's no issues with any of that. So those are the pros to this figure. Now the one big con that it has is he's a pain in the rear to put together. As you saw in the video, you know, and what you didn't see, because like I said, I did a mass majority of it off screen because it was just that much of a pain in the rear end. You know, I was all getting to the point where I was going to throw him right back into the void. I was getting that aggravated with it because the problem with it is, one, the ball joints keep on moving. So I'm trying to put the piece in and it's constantly moving. The holes are very small, so they're hard to get in there. I did use a little bit of heat. It helps somewhat. Or the other issue you run into is you get one part on and then the other part falls off. So now you're trying to put that one back on and then another piece. So putting them together is a royal pain in the butt. But once you got them together, he's pretty darn cool in that form. You know, everything seems to work well once he's together. It's just getting them there is the issue. So would I recommend this set? Yes. This is a must-have for any Berserk fan. I mean, if you're going to have the God Hand, you have to have Void. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. You got to have Void to go with the God Hand. So this form looks great. The other form looks great. It's just getting it there. So if you can handle, you know, going through the chaos of getting him together, then you could do him in this second form. If you just want him to look in this form, he looks just as cool, just like this. So with that being said, I hope you guys did like this review. If you did, go ahead and check out my Berserk playlist and hit that like, share, and subscribe. They're all small clicks for you, but it really helps his channel grow. So until the next one, late.